Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and today, again, we are delving into this day of series, and we're our players and their characters will be delving into the abyss. I am so sorry. Wow. The lower planes make me sick. And they should make you sick as well because this is a terrible place to be. But in our Day of series, as our players and their characters transverse the cosmos, instead of them traveling on a Modron created train, maybe they decide to take a boat trip down the River Styx. So today we're going to talk about the River Styx. And as a side note, something that I haven't brought up about our Planescape series is the yeah, absolutely, Ethan. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I actually I think my wife got something and then I passed it on to me. So Plague Mort is still carrying on its dark legacy. Damn you, Gate Town, right? But something else I wanted to bring up. Um, I think I'll put the link in at some point. There was a discussion about the fact that role playing games, despite 45 years plus of it being in our industry, we really haven't settled uh, a communal relationship with character death and dying. And Planescape is kind of born out of that effect in many ways. I mean, of course, it's very creative. It's exploring extra dimensional spaces that are the physical representation of intellectuality and hey Garth, what's going on there? It's creativity. It's literally confronting the physical representation of our ethics and morality, and it's really cool. But it also is a way for us to kind of continue the game after one or more or all the players have kind of like passed on and died, and we're like, oh, we're all sitting around twiddling our thumbs like, well, what do we do? And someone said, well, what alignment is your character? Well, mine's lawful neutral. Hey, I'm playing a neutral good guy. And someone else is like, well, I'm playing chaotic good. And of course you got that one edge lord that's like, well, I'm playing neutral evil. Ugh. Well, where does your character go? There really isn't a classic heaven or hell in our fantasy game, or maybe there is. And then it became very creative. And so I would like us to for those who are like tangentially related to Planescape, like it exists, you've never delved into it, you're not sure if you like it. One facet of it may literally be the go down to the pits of hell to get the soul of someone and bring them back home. And the Dante's Inferno of exploration of these realms, I think, is pretty amazing. And again, as a modern day marketing, it's a little difficult to describe these things because they, on purpose, are problematic. It when you talk about the lower planes, these are all variations of what we would consider Hades, hell, uh, limbo, dark pits, and things like that. And you start delving into people's personalities and go, yeah, what would their greed look like? What would their deviancies be like? What physical representation would they be? We could get Planescape can get dark, and it already is. And even they, if you start reading the old second edition, the original materials, even they kind of skirted the some of the extremely problematic things. They don't go into um, extremely problematic things like sexual assault or pedos and uh, like serial killers and even less physical things, maybe more psychological things like um, the ideas of having there are people who are psychological torturers that exist. There are soul assassins, people who go around for no other reason than to make themselves feel good by putting other people down. Prejudices of all types, people that earn money or prestige over finding a group of people that they can find some really cool traits with, and use that against them, and just garner themselves some popularity by just pushing terrible ideas. And the lower planes encompass that. But and one I even says, yeah, I mean, just assume those sorts are in the very worst hells and don't include them in my game. Exactly. Right. I mean, we can very easily fade to black. I do a lot of fading to black in my game simply because, um, A, I guarantee anybody I game with, including my co-host here, we get it, right? We don't need to dilly-dally in some of the worst aspects of humanity, because we all know what that is. And secondly, sometimes it's not very interesting, right? Like, there's a reason why some television shows and movies fade to black, because we don't need to see it because it's not interesting. It doesn't further the story. You get it, we get it. It's like it's the same thing like sex scenes in television and movies, that you see the two people close the door of the motel room, and then the next day one of them gets out of bed. We know what happened. We don't need to see it. Sure, some people would like to be titillated and like to see it. Whatever. It's the next day. Let's get it on, right? Let's move on past it. And Planescape, even as harsh as the original second edition, the 2E version, a lot of it passes by because we want the interesting stuff. So, more specifically, I would like to talk about the river Styx, give some details about the river Styx, and then, of course, we want to talk about, well, why would we even use it? Now, um, I'm on planescape.fandom.com. Actually, you know what? I'll copy the link here and and place it in the chat. But and mind you, it is online, so everyone can take everything with a grain of salt. Uh, Come on, there we go. Okay, and I'll even try to paste it up here. So take everything with a grain of salt. It is online, so, some information. The wikis are created by fallible individuals as well, but we can get ourselves an idea of what the river Styx represents. So the Styx, also known as the River of Blood, was a cross-planar river that linked the topmost layers. They say this in past tense, that links the topmost layers of the lower planes according to the Great Wheel cosmology. And the Great Wheel is the 9 alignments plus all the connecting tissue between all the 9 alignments, which comes out to be 16 planes of existence. And it often described as a big circle or a wheel. And then the actual true neutrality is right in the middle, is kind of becomes the spoke that everything connects to. Anyway, um, it is the topmost layers of the lower planes according to the Great Wheel cosmology, and all of the fiendish planes according to the World Tree cosmology. So for a short amount of time, and for those who aren't as embedded in classic fantasy D20 systems, there is also the Great Tree cosmology, which is more of a spider web fingered cosmology, uh, less structured like the Great Wheel, and more of, well, there's a shadow plane on one side, and then there's the Gyre on the other side, and there's the outer realms in one place where the elder gods, and it's very more like a tree and branches and intermingling of roots and such. But same thing, the river Styx flows through all of these. And those who touched or drank from the Styx risked completely forgetting their past lives temporarily or permanently. And um, what I think what the reason for having that is that, of course, you don't want players like, hey, we're going to make our own boat and like sail the river Styx or something. You need a boatman to take you from one place to another. So now you have the opportunity to either have a faceless, no talking skeletal figure hold out their hand, wait for a couple of coins, and take the players from one place to another, which means that in many ways for our player characters, Is this a one-way trip? Can they get back? Are they going to act like a-holes, or are they going to follow the rules about this place? And it's the first introduction for the players to go, ooh, yeah, we got to trust somebody else, some other entity that won't even communicate with us. Or you can make the boatmen a little more personable. They don't have to be skeletal. Um, is there only one boatman, Karen or Sharon or Charon or whatever, or are the boatmen a guild of individuals who have been tasked with taking individuals from one place to another? Maybe the players have to beseech a boatman to say, "Hey, listen, this is why we want to go, and the reason why we're coming back." Or maybe it's a heist of sorts. We have to commit a crime or hide amongst a group of people who are destined to go down the river, and we're going to hide amongst them and be taken down into these lower planes. Now, the for the great wheel, the sticks crawl through the uppermost layers of the seven lower planes, as described by the great wheel cosmology: pandemonium, the abyss, which we're going to talk about for the next couple of days and maybe even next week, carceri, Hades, Gehenna, the nine hells, and Acheron. Excuse me. Its headwaters were located in Pandesmos, the uppermost layer of Pandemonium, as well as several of the river's tributaries. And the river Styx is a substitute for the astral plane for the lower planes. So when you instead of just giving players here's a portal, walk through the portal, go to another plane of existence, and you're already there. This is a little bit more of a storyline. You got to get into a boat. You got to somehow, you have a bell, or you have to alight the dark candle, or you come up with some kind of story key MacGuffin to get a river boatman to come to the players in the first place. Maybe it's given to the more religious character because they're on a mission to save some of their one or more of their fallen comrades to get there. It might be a fetch quest to bring back innocent individuals, or even to question a criminal or something like that. And then the river itself, instead of having to rely on the astral plane and I don't know, psychostellar ships or something, the river Styx is a confined space with a great limitation, with needed social interaction. Uh, Basically, me explaining how the sausage is made. But let's see what our co-hosts have to say. So Drew says, some wiki projects write all their articles in past tense. I worked on a few, and I always had to check what custom each wiki had. Yes, yes, I do notice that, like the Forgotten Realms and Fandom, which I think are interlinked, they do a past tense, and it does make sense for them to do that because the minute Planescape stopped being created, technically it was past tense. If you think about it, right? But for our purposes, everything is present tense. If we're going to use it, so any game you play that stops being made, it's not like all of a sudden the books disappear. The books are still there. It may not get a lot of fanfare in the community, but it's still your game, so it's always present tense. Drew says, I guess the article or D&D mixed the Styx and the Lathe together, since the river Leith is the one that leads to forgetting life. I think they did that on purpose. Uh, Less confusing, and while there's no reason why you couldn't have multiple rivers flowing through different worlds and planes of existence, I think they just wanted one. And listen, the river Styx is the most famous one, so even if the river Lathe has more story behind it, I'm sure they were just like, go with the more popular one. No, don't make Karen a Karen. Yes, yes, I've heard it pronounced Karen, and I just thought, I don't even know why I didn't even think about that. Garth says the coins given to the ferrymen traditionally are, of course, the coins that would be laid on a corpse's eyes. I wonder. Here's another story element. The player characters could do a literal Dante's Inferno delve by the characters willingly passing away. Maybe they are in a chamber, or they're in a great cathedral, or a forest grove or a hidden cave or something, and one or more religious characters are gathered together, maybe in a ritual or something, and the character spirits literally leave their bodies, and coins are placed on their eyes, and when they awaken, they have all their gear and all their, they're badasses, but in their hands, in their pouch, pocket, or something, are the coins left for them to pay for the ferryman. And that was a real reason why they did that. Also, listen, when you during the at least the settling of the United States, when you had to bury individuals and you had mortuaries and things like that that were less religiously confined, like when we moved away from families laying to rest their own loved ones out in the field, and religious institutions doing it primarily, when it became a business, how did you pay them? Well, you put the coins on the eyes, and then nobody else wanted to touch the dead bodies, so the person who gathered the coins was the one who prepared the bodies, and then they would get paid for their work. So yeah. um yeah. Drew says Karen again. Great. After all the Karens I heard with Karen, now you made Karen into Karen as well. Yes. And I specifically pronounced them that way. Yes. And if you're listening, it's Karen, the name, versus Cairin, the location, versus Charon, the boatman. Mm-mm-mm. Maybe I've been drinking a little bit of the River Lathe myself, because I forget a lot of this stuff too. Yeah. TA says, so I have to watch in one browser and comment in another. Oh, yeah. My I use Restream as because Restream is very simple. It has very simple things in it. I don't use like OBS or something as a streaming thing, and it combines it together, which I like. But if you listen or watch on Twitch, you could comment and open up a window on YouTube without having it be there. Yeah, pretty weird. Deadman says the series His Dark Materials, which I haven't seen, another on Amazon Prime, had a variant of the boatman in the middle of the last season, taking the heroine to the land of the dead to save the souls trapped there. And it, weirdly enough, it's kind of been assumed that the boatmen are completely true neutral, right? Like they do a job at ferrying souls from one place to another, and they don't have a political agenda at all. They're bus drivers, right? They are pilots, they are the sailors. They just take you from one place to another. But they could arrive on the player's doorsteps like, no, you need to go here. And the player, I mean, you could literally go from the players being in a tavern at the end of one last session, and then they wake up at the riverbank of the river Styx, and then do a flashback that the players are air quotes dead already, and they have coins in their hand, and you're starting a new adventure, and the players may be like, ooh, we need to get back to our real bodies. But they're like, but I feel real, and then that would, I mean, you could wake them up and medias, right? You're on the boat traveling to the lower planes, throughout the lower planes, again, learning about what the lower planes are like, what kind of individuals and beings are there, getting some knowledge, exploring on their own, hiding, sneaking, and things, and then realize, oh, wait a minute, our bodies are back there. How long can we be down here? And then, of course, you can describe, well, your body's in suspended animation, it won't rot, or if you die here, your brain is gone, your real body in the prime material plane will die, or something like that, or they step through a portal and to make it simple. Drew says, think about running a game in past tense to create the feeling of retelling an ancient tale, but have not done so yet. I like that idea of like doing it in past tense. I think even if you want to hand wave travel, great travels and things, I think doing it in past tense doesn't actually kind of makes it interesting, especially even if you don't roll any dice. You can say to the players, okay, you arrived at the border of the accursed desert. I got to bring that up again. How did you get here? Or what interesting thing did you encounter before you arrived? Of course, the players aren't dead, so we saw a great monolith and we went inside, or we passed travelers and they told us about a thing. I mean, I think that's a great tool for gaming, especially if you trust your players to be synergistic with the concept of what's here. Like, for example, um, asking players, why do you belong down in the lower planes? Like, what your even if your players are tend to be good aligned, lawful and good aligned, why are you down in the lower planes? Just ask them and let them come up with a reason. My paladin murder killed, I don't know, the head of the knights because they were corrupt or something like that, and I'm paying for it because I feel guilty about what I did. Someone else's. I stole their. I'm such a thief. I stole someone else's identity, and I'm taking the place of a loved one or whatever. You know. GPS says finally up early enough to catch one live. Glad you could be here, GPS. Although maybe you could tell us where we're at. You could lead us through the river Styx so we don't get lost. Garth says, I think the minor Ghost Walker setting was exactly the PCs becoming ghosts or other undead in a city of darkness, sometimes as a way to rescue a fallen comrade. Yeah. Um, yeah. TA says it's all the ad blocker resistance that YouTube keeps adding to their streaming and video player code that is causing browsers to fail to work properly. Brave still works for watching at least. Oh, okay. I haven't had that problem, but I I know of people who keep having, the constant, what's the B-roll ads that happen in the middle of the streaming and all that kind of stuff. I think I've turned mine on, turned them off because I really don't make any money through the AdSense. So, oh, cool. All the books. His Dark Materials are great. Start with the Golden Compass. The movie doesn't do it justice. Then read The Subtle Knife. Then The Amber Spyglass. Ooh. Oh, that's one of my favorite. I'm not sure if I'm remembering it right, but I think the 1998 film "What Dreams May Come" has a similar STYX ferryman scene. Yes, it's a do 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 yourself a favor, guys, and watch "What Dreams May Come." It's a little depressing. It does deal with problematic um, subject matter about death of children and suicide and things like that, but it is formulated in the form of an individual going on a trip through the plains of death to try to reunite his family after this family has lost their loved ones, and it's pretty good. What may come, and let's see if we get some images up here, and I'll share them out because it is a beautifully rendered movie. Of course, you have to have special effects, but it isn't a CGI heavy movie in many ways. They do a lot of practical effects, and it's great. I wonder if it helps if I cry a river for not having coins to pay Karen. You know what? I know you're being funny here, Drew, but it would make some sort of sense. Maybe tears are maybe coins aren't the only payment. You could pay in dreams or hopes or memories or tears of joy or sorrow or something. I like that idea. What a backwards way to achieve something that the boatman might now have. The boatman's known not to be stoic, doesn't care, just does their job. Find someone to take them across, and they start to cry or something, and then takes the tear turns into like a diamond or a crystal or something, catches it, puts it in away, and is like, okay, I will be here for you when you need. And they're like, what, did the boatman just say something? It's like, yep. Mm-mm-mm. Chooses, I trust my players as far as I can throw them quite well and quite weak even for a woman. You're so silly. players players have a habit of like tossing monkey wrenches into things. But I Heathen says, love this idea of tears being payment. And it may be a clue as well. Um uh, the idea that the river Styx makes you forget something, I think, is also a feature of of souls being cast down into the lower planes, where let's be honest, the vast majority of individuals really don't want to be there as petitioners. Again, petitioners are souls that go down for a indeterminate amount of time to find out whether they belong there or not. And drinking from the river Styx, being immersed in the river Styx, um, means that you'll forget your past life and this is your new life. And retrieving someone, if they remember everything, they're just like, friends, thank you. Thank you for coming here. I am the hell out of here. Whereas now you have a confrontation for someone who's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a past life that where I was alive doing things, and the PCs are like, come on, shut up, just come with us. We got to get out of here. Like, no, I belong here. As a stand in line ready to be pushed down into a, I don't know, a pit of fire by some demons with pitchforks, and they're like, it's almost my turn, I'll see you guys later. Right, being burned for all eternity. Oh, thanks. Bakaza says, haven't caught a stream before, but have checked out a few videos on demand. Great work. Great work throughout. Appreciate the clarifications you make on some very complex concepts while keeping it relatable. Well, I appreciate that. Although that's not always my fault. That's the people around us. I'm the talking head, but I'm surrounded by brilliant individuals who are very creative. And I like bringing complexity out of simple things and taking complex things and making them simple. So, you know, jokes aside, listen, what is it? Comedy is just tragedy plus time. So sometimes when we joke around about things, there's a huge nugget of truth in them, and I like pulling that out. And then also, we can get a little bit too serious sometimes and take things a little bit too much to heart. So yeah, doing that as well. But what dreams may come. Beautiful movie. All right, let me get that out of here. TA says, problem is those insertions of ads come with a ton of stuff that causes some issues. Yes, viruses and malware. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anybody remember LimeWire? Oh, might be interesting for the PCs to have to figure out how they individually must pay. Bard needs to compose a poem about a departed loved one to bridge the gap. The fighter must salute a fallen comrade. You know what? Um, Thank you for curving us back into this concept about we're talking about the river Styx and going to the lower planes and such, and they're all evil and la 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 la. But character death is a thing that we for some reason have not embraced in our role playing games. On one hand, we you hear this everywhere. I want a game that has death on the menu because it's not a real game with real threat and real value if it doesn't have death. Yet, when you ask someone, okay, you've died, your character has started in this game and has died in the first 12 minutes. What do we do now? And how many games give you concrete mechanical instructions on what to do with a player that is value added to your experience? You want them in the game, but their character's dead. Well, just make another one. Do the rules say make another one? Well, they're just going to have to sit out this game. Is that a good idea as well, or do you want them to participate? And then what level or of what value do they come back with? Do they lose something, sacrifice something before they come back? Um, do they just get to make another character and we just keep moving on? What if they just make the same character they had before and they say it's their relative? How soon should they be introduced? And if their character's going to die and we want them in a game and they get to make another character and keep moving, why do we bother having death in the first place? Right? And then why are we read books, we embrace media, we have video games where we know our main characters are not going to die. We know this as a fact that our main characters will not die, and we go, yeah, okay. Well, they told me Spider-Man 2's coming up. They can't spoil that. I thought Spider-Man might die. No, you didn't. You didn't think Spider-Man was going to die in the first movie, right? We have comic books that are like 75 years plus old. I've got comic books today that are older than me, and I'm in my mid 50s. So why is it we don't, when a game might say death is off the table, we go, there's just no threat for it, And then what is death anyway? Death is just not being able to use your character. So being retired, being exiled, being imprisoned, being lost, being forgetful, giving up, um, um, whatever, being transformed. These are things that can kill characters that where the character isn't dead, they just happen to be gone. Yeah, showing off something for the ferryman like a sandwich. You never know. The ferryman might like pastries. Hey, a nice, good, meaty sandwich, slice of pizza. Uh Soul Free Wolf says morning. Oh my god, that's my favorite Robin Williams movie. Yes, and um strangely, what dreams may come could trigger some people, but Robin Williams having such a comedic background in a dark movie is helpful because you can tell from his depiction of the dark things that happen in that movie that he still has hope in his heart, and so it's a great movie. Mm. The druid has to recount a time when they failed to save an animal from poachers. Wow. Going down into the plains to bring back, like, something from nature. Maybe a grove from nature was corrupted by evil, and what happened was there was a switch, and that animal that was killed was the thing that allowed the evil to take place in the prime material plane. But then that goodness, that natural part of nature, was brought back down into the evil planes as like a gift or like an oasis or something. Yeah. 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 Sounds silly, but I love it. They have to give away something meaningful to them. The barbarian must give up her axe. Yeah. I like that. The bard that shows up with a cold brew getting preferential treatment over the one that used their skill to do something or other. Yeah, I like that. Drew says, I think the main issue is the ableism our hobby is based on. With all the focus on what the characters do, it is, of course, then something that literally kills the participation of a player. I agree. And you, it, as a marketing tool, you don't want a game that instantly kills characters, because then it's like a video game, right? What if you had a video game that says you can only play through this game with one life? After that, the game bricks. It's dead. It's gone. It deletes off your. You can't play it any longer. You can play through it once, and if your character dies, too late. Would people buy that? I mean, it would be interesting for other people, but it would never make any money, because the minute you found that out, they're like, "Oh, I'm putting $60 down for that." Like the one with the cold beer is now able to just hang from time to time. Yep. It ends up being able to go back and forth across the river between life and death. Like, hey, dude, no, I don't want to go. I'm just here to crack a cold one open with you. And the boatman sits down next to you, like, oh, thanks, pulls the hood back, drinks back, like, man, this is awesome. No one ever just gave me a cold beer. Yeah, yeah. Until upper management gets into it. Yeah, I agree with you. That's so sweet. I love that. Uh, Bakaza says, I think my first Robin Williams film was Patch Adams. What Dreams May Come came a few years later, and damn, it hit like a ton of bricks. Wept for God knows how long. That movie, just thinking about that movie just pulls at the heartstrings. It's a great flick, and one that's surprisingly hopeful for literally people that died. It's crazy. Soul Free Wolf says Dark Sun addressed this with the character tree in second edition. Yep. Sure did. Drew says this is why I separated that for my own system, and thus have the players participate even without having their characters present on stage. And again, now we do have. Let me give credit where credit is due. There are indie games that do talk about death. For example, Things from the Flood, Tales from the Loop is about playing children You're literally, they have a mechanical feature where you can't be older than 18 years old, and every year that you're younger than 18, or maybe it's 17 years. Um, anyway, every year you're younger than 18 years old, you you get like these form of luck points. So if you make a 12-year-old, you have like 6 points of this like luck mechanism. So the older you get, the less you rely on your luck and stuff. It's really cool, and you use the points to, you know, for D6s, you put them around your character sheet. It's a really cool system. But you play a kid, and the reality of the world you play in Tales from the Loop and Things from the Flood. Let's see if I can find that here. I'll just put it in here. Tales from the Loop art. There we go. And let's put this up. Yeah, what happens in Tales from the Loop is that no, your character can't die, but your character can get suspended. Your parents can move away. You can go to juvenile detention. You can become despondent or something or whatever. You can become injured so traumatically that you can't participate any longer. Your parents get divorced and you have to live in another city. That's how they handle, air quotes, death. In the game Blades in the Dark, that is often I speak about a lot on this channel. Lots of people credit Blades in the Dark for being this great heist role-playing game, which it is. Death is almost impossible in Blades in the Dark, but what can happen? You can go to jail, you can get captured, you can lose everything, you can be on the run on the streets, you're constantly hunted, and you have this stacked, you can have so many complications stacked against you that it's almost impossible for you to live your life, and you just remain in hiding, and your character is effectively removed from gameplay because you have so many enemies built, stacked against you and hunting you down and such. So that's another thing. And lastly, what I want to mention is what was mentioned here by our co-host here is that how many times have we had a funeral for our characters? How many times have we had other players be so invested in another person's character's presence at the game that they recount why it is they appreciated them being in the game? So it's not always about you. Maybe it's about the other people at your table. And even having other in-character conversations about a character that has passed on and why they want to bring them back, and then have to give that to, make that a feature in the game, to give that to the boatman who's like, someone's like, I remember we fought shoulder to shoulder, and they took a blast of fire from an ancient worm, a dragon of great power, but they were able to be saved, blah blah blah, and came back, and we, defeated the great evil or something. I mean, how cool would that be? Mm-mm-mm. TA says, how about a system that allows the dead to act on the stage, sort of how there were rules and mechanics for Beetlejuice. Thus, they affect the world by their haunting skills and level up to become a poltergeist. We have a game like that called Wraith the Oblivion, which I think is an unsung dreamlike game that's really excellent, where you play dead characters. When Heathen says, "Ooh, that game is starting to sound super interesting." Never RP'd a kid before, but some of that is because people who do want to RP kids are, yeah, maybe a little immature, maybe they got a little pedo in them. Yeah, yeah. Yes, there are other childlike games, like Kids on Bikes is another role playing game that's very popular. Tales from the Loop was actually a garnered a rule set based on the paintings of someone else. Let me see if I can find. Let's see. Let's see if I could find this individual. Simon Stalenhag is an artist that created a book, and then a role-playing game was based around the artwork he created. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So let's see if I can bring this up here. So this kid, oops, I did. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. So this kid with the backpack and the police car, and then like looks like he's mechanically operating the machine to go towards the police. And Tales from the Loop is actually a series on Amazon Prime if you want to watch it. It's a little dry, it's a little slow, but pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, this kind of thing is you can make in the game, and of course they're kids. One reality of the world in that game, I didn't mean to go too deep into the game, but one reality game is you can't go to the adults to solve the situation. Yeah, Drew says, indeed, as a ghost, it is a possibility, but as a memory that inspires the living also works, or just as fate or luck. Like some people say that that dead have become guardian angels. Exactly, exactly. Mm-mm-mm. Heathen says, I wanted to try Wraith. I wanted to play a Roman soldier who collected shields as hit fetters. Never got to. Oh man. Mm-mm. Yeah. Thomas Anderson says, as for RPing as a kid, I kind of did that for the players in my game I made, where they started at that stage as orphans or teens who stayed behind when others evacuated to scavenge. Ooh, and start their life as an adventurer on the Skyway, roving between worlds and exploring. That's cool. Drew says Wraith was fun, but it also had the potential to get the people never to talk to each other after they played one another's shadow. Yeah, we limited that effect in the game, but yes, yes. Yes, the Wraith is pretty much for TTRPGs what diplomacy is for board games. It very much is. Ooh. Because this is I've completely given up on any Amazon fantasy shows. Ooh, yeah, yeah. All right, let's get back into the river Styx. Okay, so we've gotten on a boat. Our players are there, and we want them to travel through the upper layers of the lower planes of existence, pandemonium, the abyss, the nine hells, and such. So now we have a MacGuffin. We've got an excuse for the players to travel across this river, and the mechanics. Here we go talking about the sausage. The mechanics of moving from one plane of existence to another in Planescape. Yes, they talk about having keys and portals and things like that, but there are also. I see your Picasso. Oh no. Ugh. I'll put it up there. I'll do it anyway. Yeah. Oh, it showed up. Yay. So people take that as you will. The idea that there are natural locations for players to fall into the lower planes, that the river naturally flows from one to another, and that there's nothing stopping the players or the boatmen or whatever from going to one place to another. You can come up with your own rules. While there are rules for traveling from one plane of existence to another, fantasy D&D, D20 systems do have magic spells that allow players and magic items to go from one plane of existence to another. You can also give them ciphers, one use magic items, or objects, or call signs, or tattoos, or whatever. Scrolls, rings, doesn't matter what it looks like. It's a MacGuffin. It allows them to go from one place to another. But the river Styx is a naturally occurring, ooh, maybe nature isn't. It is an arcane ability for our players to kind of go back and forth between the nine hells and the abyss and pandemonium and limbo and acheron and places like that, if you want to use that in your game. And if you want to limit their transportation, maybe they have to pay the boatman each time. If your players are really cool about it and you're like, man, they're really embracing this, let them call the boatman. Or maybe the boatman gives them the lantern that guides the boat or something, and they're able to go back and forth. And especially depending on how is it a dinghy? You can only fit 3 or 4 people in it. Is it a large galleon where they can um, uh, bring in outsiders or escapees or people that need to be rescued? Is it non-Euclidean? Does it still look like it only can hold 5 or 6 people, but you can stack in thousands of people or something? I don't know. But that may be it. It could very easily be the West Marches style of letting players participate in your game that can't arrive, which is another problem I have. Side note with modern gaming, that we haven't come to a consensus on a number of ways to solve when players can't arrive in a game and still we can play games. For example, you guys know I love outposting. For example, the boatman and the boat could be a place where a character that can't participate, where's their character at? They're in the boat. And the next time they get to play, they get off the boat and they come join the characters. And then when somebody else can't play because of their schedule or whatever, they're in the boat. Their characters just happens to be in the boat, and when they come back, they're in the boat, right? You know. Drew says, I have not even looked into those shows. I stick with The Boys on Amazon. You've got a dark streak in you there, Drew. I see it. I see it. I love The Boys too. Gen V was fun. Yeah, it's a good move, good show. When I hear this says, oh, I have an idea. In order to force a connection between living PCs and the dead, the PC must tell a story about a dead person within a specific plane. The party needs to recall a person in pandemonium. I like that idea. Or, why can't you make a character that's already dead? Like, oh no, I've got my player character sheet and everything, but my character is in the lower planes for some reason, and ends up joining a group. They don't know. They don't remember if they ever even lived in the prime material plane. That would be awesome. TA says, of course, I also had instances of like having a mutation for infravision, but also having 2200 vision so they can only see clearly in the dark a few feet before it's all fuzzy. You don't think about dark vision and needing glasses, do we? Yeah. I like your idea of PCs being in the boat when your player can't show. Yep. I wish they had continued to show powers. The show powers I think was awesome. And it got, people, it was woke. Whatever. It was a great show. I think Powers didn't depict everything as being hunky dory. I wish it continued to. When I hear this is, I like your idea of players being in the boat. Yeah, I don't like, why don't we do that? Yep. Yeah, that would be cool. Just pick up a new party member on some weird hereafter verse. I like the way you spelled that out. It's a hereafter verse. Yeah, exactly. Why can't we don't have to abide by rules. We could do whatever the hell we want, Also, it would be kind of weird, but kind of interesting here's another way for players to continue playing in the game by rewarding the players by collecting other people, rescuing them from the lower planes, and that becomes another player character you can get to play, right? So I'm pulling this out of my ass. All the player characters, you got 4 players, they make up third level characters. They're in the lower planes. Of course, yourself, them, they're thinking third level, lower planes, we're going to get our asses kicked. But that means the point of this is not to murder kill everything. The point is to rescue people, the other character sheets that you have that you can't use yet, to bring them into the boat so that now you have a greater opportunity to pick and choose. Oh, I'm going to play my ranger now instead of my rogue druid or something. I want to play my barbarian instead of my paladin warlock or something like that, right? And then you could then pick that character and you can pick and choose and mix and match them for whatever's going on, because the ones that are left behind are there because they're traumatized, they're healing, they are keeping the morale up of the other individuals that have been saved. They are using magic powers to keep the ones that have been rescued from being able to be detected by the powers of the lower planes. And the river Styx may be, hey, we're going into the abyss, get in a boat and sail away, right? And come back when, we'll call you with the horn and when we're done or something. Yeah, when I hear this says, pick of a paladin in the plane of Celestia just to torture the rogue. Yeah. Yeah. No, we don't poison our enemies. Damn it, why did you bring them here? Language, people, language. Yeah. TA says, by the way, I have been in communication with the story writer that I based my sci-fi role-playing game on all those years ago. Maybe I can get them to endorse putting it out and expanding the universe that he created for the Star Rigger trilogy. Ooh, that's awesome. Right now, he seems more focused on the Castle Perilous series he wrote. Wow, that's awesome. Good, well, good for you. Yeah, slow clap on that one. Yeah. Listen, if you make connections with people and you're able to like reignite the creativity and the passion in others and get to work together with people, that's awesome. So, um, going back to the river Styx, the players may not be the only ones using the river to go back and forth. If there are entities that are trying to leave the lower planes, Pandemonium, Limbo, Acheron, the Abyss, the Nine Hells, all of these places, and go from one place to another, the river Styx might be a little bit busy. And the players may need to be on the shoreline of the river because they see the Tanari and the Baatzu, demons and fiends, devils and daemons and the Yugoloths or whatever, all the Slotty using the river to transfer from one place to another, especially if they are kind of like on the outs because they don't have the instant ability to go back and forth, or maybe they're trying to. This is the way that they have to bargain with the player characters. Maybe the player characters even gain somewhat evil allies in their quest to do a thing, especially if those evil entities are like, I want revenge. Whoever kicked me out of my domain. Hey, I was on the 137th level of the abyss, and I want to get back my power. And these outsiders, these player characters, are the very tool I can use because no one knows who they are. And then the evil Slotty or something like that, Slaadi, or Yugoloths or whatever, are like, hey, we're going to go back down, and then the demons of the abyss are like, you're not coming down here to the 137th layer, and the player characters are involved in it because they want to kick out the person, the demon lord that is taking it over. So the river Styx might be far more populated than we give it credit for. Also, no one says the river Styx has to be this slow moving river with no one on it. It could have its own, the river Styx could be its own aquatic society, boats passing each other, large galleons. You want to go even further than that? Steamboats with paddle oars on the back. You could have steam powered ships and things, and player characters, board. There could be piracy. There could be people selling goods and services, as well as prison ships and things taking souls from one place to another. There could be rafts adrift because of a storm that passed by. Maybe there's a great war in the multiverse, dumping souls, literally dumping them spilling into the very waters of the river Styx. All the souls, evil souls that have been dumped here, forgetting where they came from, or scrambling for any purchase because they don't want to drown because of the creatures in it. And yeah, when I even says, "Oh, Styx River Pirates," yeah, we can even play some music from Styx while this is happening. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, the river Styx could be really rapacious. Yeah, it could, and the forgetfulness of it could be a commodity, or hey, there's a lot of people who die with a lot of trauma, and it might be necessary to drink just a little. Forget your past life, people. You're not going back home. Sip just a little, and they might sit in a circle and drink just a little bit, knowing that we're going to, they're going to take us to the nine hells or the abyss or pandemonium and let us off. Best to forget our past lives. That kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. And what sort of sea life is in that river? The kraken in the river is like, I thought I just ate, but now I forgot. I guess I feel full. I don't know whether there could be kraken, giant crocodiles, merfolk, or something that are trying to pull people down into the river Styx to forget who they were. And this is arcane. Who's to say that when your soul passes to another life, you're going to be human if you're a human? Maybe you look human, but you're really a bugbear strangling people, right? That's really you. I mean, that's your true self. Who's to say that when you come to the river, the border of the river, and someone goes to walk into it, they don't transform instantly, slowly and surely. Maybe they are a demon fiend, some kind of fiendish demon. Maybe they really are the living embodiment of a devil or a Yugoloth or something like that. Something with maybe their skull rips from their human body and they're just a floating skull like a will-o-wisp or something, because that's what if you really had to categorize them in their real life, this is probably what they would really be like. Maybe there are spirits, ghosts, banshees, poltergeists, um, incorporeal spirits down in and around the river Styx who neither belong in the lower planes but can't leave, and they could be in a kind of transitional phase as well. Sirens, sirens speaking the lost memories of people, because the river is made up of the memories of the people that have passed on, and that's how the river itself is made up of nothing but memories. And when people drink from it or fall into it or whatever, pass through it, they go into the lower planes, but their memories are left behind, and the river keeps growing and growing and getting more um there are rough spots in it because of the turmoil in people's minds or something. I don't know. TA says falling into the river Styx, I think, would be a good way to introduce a backrooms type universe as part of the expanding universe of your gameplay too. Exactly. What if you fall into the river Styx and for everyone else, a moment has passed? You've just saw the movie Constantine, because I like the movie Constantine. I get it. It doesn't follow exactly the comic books, but whatever. And there's moments in it where our main characters in Constantine go to hell, and it's in an instant, but they've been there for a while. And the same could be in the river Styx. They fell into it and to get back up, but it's literally been another world, another game, another side quest or something. Or falling in causes them to be kicked to, say, cyberpunk universe from their D&D universe. That too, right? Hey guys, I got this new game. All right, well, I fell in the river. Cool. We're going to run this until we can get so and so back to the game. And then when they come back, they're like, I had a cyber arm, and everyone's like, what's that? Drew says, starting in media res, your character. Oh, here we go. Gotta do the dramatic voice. Your character resurfaces, obviously in some river, seeing a fight on a boat nearby, but without any idea of how they got there. Seeing, I mean, great, right? You come out of the water, you scramble onto a boat. That's your character. Well, where was I? What was I doing before? You don't remember. You look down. Hey, everyone, describe what you look like, or describe what somebody else looks like. That's your new character. Well, you don't have to go that far, but you get what I mean, right? You have scales, and you've got 4 fingers and scales, sharp nails. Someone looks at you and says, are you a dragon of some sort?" You're like, "I guess was born dragon. I have been dragon born, I suppose." And listen, who says you can't be a halfling in the prime material plane and show up as a dragonborn or tiefling? Maybe that's really you given physical form. Yep. Yeah. Says, oh yes, there are people trying to pull down souls so they can more easily just convince the souls they've just always been slaves. Yep. Yep. And maybe the river Styx is the place. Listen, the slavers might not have it easy, and they use the river. Crossing the river is the way that they keep the enslaved from escaping from the pits of hell, the pits of the abyss, and Hades and Pandemonium. That when you try to cross the river, you're like, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of Dante's Inferno. F this bullshit, right? And then they run into the river and they're like, what happened? What? And then the fiendish beings are like, come this way. You don't want to go too far. And they're like ankle deep in it. And they're like, yes, I will come back. I don't know why. I'm your friend. Right? Yep. Yeah. When I hear this says, ooh, I love this idea, just finding your character emerging from the river Styx. Yep. Drew says, my biggest issue with the Constantine film is that he was not blonde. That they misrepresented the stance on suicide within the Catholic Church didn't bother me, since suicide while insane is not sin. Yeah, he wasn't. Yes, I know. They had a script. They found an actor. Could they have changed his hair color and stuff? Sure, but I mean, then would you really recognize Keanu Reeves and such? So I like the story. I just think the storyline of it was. I mean, if looking at the movie now, I was like, ooh, they dealt with some pretty problematic issues. Even as an action styled movie, it had its deep moments in it that I think was worth the movie. Um, it as a matter of fact, a lot of the filmography in it, the cinematography, lots of crosses, lots of mirrors, um, uh, a hell of a lot of like uh, Catholic imagery in it, even behind characters' heads and such. So yeah, it's if you look at the background of that movie, you're like, ah, I get it. Yeah, I see it. From billboards to posters to um, closed business windows and things like that. Yep. So yeah, I'm with you, Drew, but maybe I fall on the more positive side with the movie. Ta says falling into the river damns you. This hell of a cubicle prison that has to work every day and pay taxes and otherwise remain more bored than someone trapped in purgatory. Are you talking about our real life? Yeah. I like the idea of having players make characters for other players to discover after they emerge from the river. Yeah. Hey, everybody, make 3 characters. Guess what? You don't get to play any of them. You just get to pick. You have to pick what someone else hands you another player character, and you're all on the boat and stuff. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Good. Ta, you're so funny. When I hear this is, I remember not liking Constantine, but I'd be willing to give it another chance. Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, it took a little while for me to warm up to it because, but it happens when you have a printed material is always better than the tends to be better than the visual because in our heads we already have the image and how people sound and look and act and stuff. So yeah, what's in our head is always better than what's put on screen. Basically, it's thousands of shows that are all the same story, but with different people playing out the various roles and using different terms to say the same thing over and over. Yeah, AI, AI movies and television, which is essentially was what it's probably going to be. It's just the same. It's the same plots, the same characters, same situations. They alter it, but it's still the same thing, right? It's the same words, hell, we see that. How many times have we seen people like um where we predict what the character is going to say because the writers are so um either not creative or don't have enough time to be creative enough to say the thing that we know because we are like, oh, I know they're going to say the exact same thing, right? Hellblazer comics are awesome. Yep. I say that as a Marvel fangirl who rarely finds the DC stuff interesting. Yeah. Well, listen. My heyday, they stole from each other constantly, Marvel and DC and stuff. So yeah, a lot of fun. Anyway, we're going to continue our talk about today. I just want to talk about the surface level, literally river surface level of the river Styx and using it as transportation, as to hold other characters, as a reason why or how you can use the memory erasure. Hey, your character just doesn't remember their background. Your character's in the lower planes. Are your characters evil? They don't have to be, but maybe your character did something you don't even remember, or someone makes a character and goes, "I haven't made a backstory for them yet. Don't worry about it. Make it up later." Maybe you'll find maybe the NPCs down in the lower planes remember your character, not you remembering them, and they start telling you what your backstory is, which would be fun if your character shows up, looks like somebody else, and you're like, Why do I look like somebody else? Oh, maybe I'm on a mission by beings from the upper planes to represent somebody else, so I look like someone that was a evil person, but I really not evil, but I'm portraying them. So you could do all kinds of stuff, kinds of things like that. DP7 totally captivated me with stuff like a flashlight character that was literally starving to death due to accelerated metabolism, being why he was able to run so fast and move so fast. I was a Marvel Comics fan until the new universe came out. DP, oh, why can't my brain remember what that stands for? Yeah, yeah, just the fidgeting that a normal person does caused him to seem like a blur of motion. I remember them. They all had. I always liked character. I always liked comic books with characters that had just as many downsides as positivity for their characters. When we were when I was young, and this is a little bit problematic. I remember we played a ton of superhero characters. We played Marvel. Marvel Phase Rip. We played DC Mayfair. We played Champions. Um, Displaced Paranormals. Yes, I couldn't remember. I was mixing it up with Deviate, short for Deviants. It was Deviate. I was mixing it up with that. But anyway, like for example, there was a young lady that could turn into a very handsome, chiseled chin gentleman superhero. I think there was I can't remember. Anyway, we used to make up characters like, oh, my character could catch on fire, but their skin was like a burn victim. We had a one person guy made a character that was he was a brick, literally like made out of stone brick. But the problem was, as time went on, he couldn't move very fast, and there was going to be a period of time where he could never move, and he was afraid that he was going to be frozen in place and wasn't sure how long he would even live. And another character promised that he would destroy him if he stopped moving and stuff. And we had fun with that. Little dark, because we kind of played with I don't know if I would repeat it again in the same way today, because we kind of played with like handicap and mental afflictions with it, and I don't know if we were young, so we didn't have any nuance with it, but I like the idea of that. And hell, I remember I I accidentally made a villain group called Life Force, and they were all handicapped bad guys. And the first thing those heroes did was just like, and they were doing like terrorist actions against the healthcare in the United States. And the PCs were like, no, I think they're right. I was like, you're not supposed to do that. They're the bad guys. They're doing bad things. And they were like, no, but they're right in what they're trying to do. I think we need to help them out. I was like, oh, don't. The main bad guy was a virus living inside of a coma patient or something. Anyway, no, he was the spirit of a person that was in a coma patient. It was somebody else in a vax sealed suit that had like nearly every disease on planet Earth or something. Drew says the old 616 can be a little much. Yeah, and in the beginning I enjoyed the Ultimate Universe, but they went so edgy fast that I was wondering if I'm back in the 90s. It did do that, didn't it? I still like comic books. I gotta get back into that. TA says, I still want to see the original series of comics that seem to be, to me, to be what created the new universe. The original Secret Wars 2 and the life and death of the Beyonder, such the Beyonder Michael Jackson. I don't know if that was a great character. But anyway, we always diverge here at the end. We come up with our best stories, then we go away. But we're going to talk about the Abyss and its infinite. Are there infinite layers? Are there layers where you can instantly die if you go there? Sure. How do you navigate around that? Is the Abyss the dumping ground for the multiverse? Maybe. Is it a trash heap? Why is it chaotic evil? How do we describe chaotic evil if you're using the alignment system? And is there nuance in it? Technically there really is, but we'll talk about that too. So guys, thank you very much for spending your valuable time here. Please like, share, subscribe. Get notified if you're brand new. I saw some new faces in there. Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate that. We're Wolf and Bakaza and some other names in there. I apologize. I can't name everyone out because I'm not that smart. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, infinite layers is great. You never can hit rock bottom. Yeah, although most people probably hit their own rock bottom in these infinite layers and stuff. Ooh, itchy, itch, itch. And then hopefully, Drew, because I know this isn't really your thing, but thanks for being here anyway. Maybe there's something you could pull from it too. So I like things that give me brain fuel, right? Something that allows me to go, oh, I didn't think about that, and then share it with you guys. Oh, well, cheers. Thank you for the drink as well. I really appreciate it. You guys can't really see it from the way I can, but those are two beers clinking together. I really appreciate that. Oh, that's awesome. The TAs, yeah, there's lots of concepts of Secret Wars useful here since they personified the universe and death and the devil, etc. Yeah, they sure did. I remember Secret Wars 1, which had nothing to do with the Secret Wars 2, but Marvel Comics has a Thanos, Death Herself, Eternity. They are personified entities of those elements, concepts and such. Is probably kind of cool. Although I like the way. Sorry, didn't mean to do that so quickly. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. Your time is very valuable. I hope I am able to give you back a little bit of change. I really, really appreciate it, guys. Have a great one. I'll see you later. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.